Welcome to the Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs podcast, a place for podcasters to learn what's actually working in the world of podcasting and how to use their podcast to generate consistent leads in their business. I'm your host, Jenny, and I'm so excited you're here. Hey, Savvies, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I'm super excited that you're here, and I cannot wait to dive into today's episode. So in today's episode, we're going to be going back to the basics and really just chatting about the benefits of podcasting for entrepreneurs. But before we dive into the episode, I did want to share that I recently started a brand new Instagram account all about podcasting for entrepreneurs. I know that's crazy when I already have my personal brand account that's more catered towards current and aspiring podcast managers, which is at jenny.sunnison, in addition to my IG for my agency, which is Savvy Podcast Agency on Instagram. But I wanted a place to talk about all things podcasting that isn't tied directly to my agency account. So I'd love it if you guys could go and give me a follow on my new IG, which is at Podcasting for Entrepreneurs. So if you're feeling called to, go ahead and follow me over there. We're going to be talking about all things podcasting, and that's where I'll be sharing the DIY version of podcasting, kind of going hand in hand with this podcast versus with my agency account. I talk about DIYing, but I also talk about hiring and things like that. So as you also might have noticed, I have updated the cover art for this podcast to reflect the new branding, and I am loving the brighter colors. It's been so fun to have a different change of colors. And I will be updating the Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs website over the coming weeks with the new branding, but I just couldn't wait to update the cover art and let you guys know about the new Instagram account. So if you want to check that out, the new Instagram account, that's at Podcasting for Entrepreneurs. And I'd love to see you over there. Send me a DM and let's chat. All right, so let's get into the episode. So as I'm sure you are already aware, podcasting has so many benefits, especially for entrepreneurs. So let's just dive right into them, shall we? So the first benefit is it allows you to quickly build the know, like, and trust factor with your audience. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear my dog. He is deciding to eat his breakfast right now at 4 p.m. when I'm recording this. So it allows you to build the know, like, and trust factor with your audience. You're able to connect with them. They're able to get to know you and trust you and like you and all that stuff, get to know you on a deeper level. And it really just allows you to do that on a quicker basis than just by reading like a blog post or something. So it's one of my favorite ways, obviously, to get to know my listeners and let my listeners get to know me, or my audience get to know me. So obviously I'm a huge proponent of using podcasting to build the know, like, and trust factor. All right. Benefit number 2 is it helps you create a cohesive marketing strategy because your other content can be centered around your podcast content. So I know coming up with content for all your marketing channels can be difficult. When you have your podcast content as like the anchor, you're able to cater your Instagram content towards what you're talking about on the podcast that week, and your Facebook content and your TikTok and all that stuff. So it really helps create a cohesive marketing strategy without having to reinvent the wheel every single week. Benefit number 3, you get to collaborate and connect with others in the online space. If you have guest interviews, this really helps you connect with other people in the industry. And it's just a really fun way to get to know other people. I am an introvert, so I'm not the person that constantly like building connections. I would like to, but that's just not who I am. So having my podcast as a way to build connections has been monumental for me, and just getting out of my shell and growing my business and all that stuff. And yeah, collaboration is just amazing. And a lot of collaboration comes from podcasting, because I've had people who are on my podcast who ended up being summits. They ended up participating in other things that I offered, and vice versa. They've had me in their stuff. So it's just so powerful when it comes to collaboration with podcasting. So benefit number 4, and probably one of my favorite benefits of having a podcast, is with a podcast, you don't need to get all dolled up. You can be in your pajamas and recording, because you're typically not recording your video as well. So it's just a lot easier of a barrier to entry than something like YouTube, because you don't have to worry about your looks. You can literally just hit record and be in your pajamas and call it a day, versus like YouTube. Most people feel like they have to get all dolled up. They have to have a really nice background. They have to have really nice camera equipment and things like that. But you don't need that with podcasting, which is just so great. So it's like a lot easier for people to start a podcast than it is a YouTube channel, mindset wise, tech wise, everything in my opinion. And then benefit number 5 is that it helps you get in front of a new audience. Obviously, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you probably want to grow your audience. We're always looking to grow. So I think using your podcast to get in front of new people is really beneficial. I know for my podcast, I probably would have never had certain people in my audience if it wasn't for the podcast, because that's how they discovered me. So it's a great way to get in front of people who you may have never gotten in front of before. And then lastly, benefit number 6, it can bring in new streams of income from new clients and customers and your products and services, affiliate income if you promote things on your podcast, or even like sponsorships, which if you guys have been listening to this podcast for a while, you know, I'm not like a huge proponent for ad sponsorships because they really don't pay enough to be lucrative in most cases, unless you have a lot of downloads. But I wanted to mention that as well, but it can bring in new streams of income, which is always nice. We're always looking to have more than just one stream of income. At least I know I am. You should be too. But yeah, those are the 6 benefits that you get from podcasting as an entrepreneur. So I'd really just love to know, what is your favorite benefit from podcasting? It could be any of these 6 that I mentioned, any other ones that I didn't mention that you enjoy about podcasting. Just let me know over on my new Instagram, which is Podcasting for Entrepreneurs. I'd love to hear from you. I'm going to be the one in the DMs over there, just like I am for my agency and my personal account. So make sure to DM me over there. I'd love to hear your thoughts and have you join me on our new little community over there. So yeah, that is it for today's episode. You can check out the show notes for this episode at savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com. And I will see you guys in the next episode.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast player like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Stitcher, and leave a review. You can find us at savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com and on Facebook at Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs and Instagram at Savvy Podcasting. Make sure to join our free Facebook community for podcasters by going to savvypodcastingforentrepreneurs.com/community and join in on the exclusive community just for Savvy Podcasting for Entrepreneurs listeners. I'll see you there.